those of you who were in Madison, yeah, you may have scheduled that trip a while back. You thought you were going to see a good game, 42-10, splattering. This was a 1.5 Chalai game on a scale of 1 to 5. Bama fans loved it. Pretty much no one else did. I've got you a padlock stat right here. It's a weird one. 11:01 to go in the first quarter. Tyler Van Dyke is out for the game. The game is over. That's it. I'm certainly not telling you Wisconsin is in this if he's healthy, but they certainly weren't going to be in it without their starting quarterback. The game script kind of tracked right along with what we expected. I didn't think that Wisconsin would be able to stop Bama running the ball, period, and especially if they didn't go heavy box on them. And they did that, and that makes you susceptible to what Alabama does best offensively, which is just pop you over the top. And Bama did it repeatedly yesterday. They had 5 passes of 20-plus yards, and they still ran for nearly 6 yards per carry. So Wisconsin didn't really do anything they wanted to do. So here's what's funny about college football, which I love. College football, spring camp buzz and fall camp buzz, it can burn you or it can make you look like a genius. We've experienced it all just with Alabama. So last year, you remember how bullish we were. I say we to deflect some of the blame because it's just me. But you remember how bullish I was on Bama's offensive line early last season. Like coming into camp, coming into the season, thought they'd be the best unit in the country. They just weren't. Now, they ended up rounding into form, and they kind of low-key won the SEC and leaned on Georgia to do it. So that offensive line ended up being a really good unit. However, it was not at all early in the season what I thought it to be, and they were a turnstile in allowing Jalen Milroe to get sacked. But the other side of that equation is sometimes that fall camp buzz is legit. So we were hearing some insane comparisons and some insane feedback on Ryan Williams, the true freshman who skipped a grade in high school, as has been noted on every broadcast. He's 17 years old. He's not even going to be able to vote in this election. And yet, I guarantee a lot of folks would vote him Offensive Player of the Year on that team so far, at least at the wide receiver position. Monster. Like 170 pounds, soaking wet, but monster. And so we were hearing all that out of fall camp, and I know I mentioned him a lot on the show, but I was almost hesitant because people kept throwing around these absurd comparisons. They kept throwing around Julio Jones is what they kept throwing around. Certainly not in body type. Those two don't even look like they come from the same planet physically. But the impact he was having in practice is very reminiscent for people who had been around the program a long time to what Julio was doing as a true freshman. So your automatic default is, okay, there's no way that's true. And now you look at him on the field, and it may have been true. And so he goes off yesterday, but I'll tell you the other thing is when you watch them, this is not an offense so far that just hums. They've got miscues, intermediate pass game's not there. They'll stall every now and then, but the difference, at least early in like watching Georgia last night versus watching Bama early on in the Wisconsin game is when Bama's struggling, when Bama's not moving the ball, it feels like you're living downstream of a compromised dam. And even though it's dry, like any second you know the flood could come. Any second you know the explosive play could come. And that's an element they had last year, but they've got it even more this year. Milroe's got 14 touchdowns and no picks. He's only been sacked 5 times. Padlock stat. Milroe, 5 sacks so far this year. He got sacked 4 or more times in 8 different games last year. So the offensive line's upgraded. Milroe's pocket awareness upgraded. Where's the intermediate passing game? Guys, it's not there. That's not him. It's not going to be Alabama this year. You can keep wanting for it because you think in like this Xbox mentality, it makes your offense look more perfect. Well, they're not perfect. No team is. Bama's not either. The answer to where's the intermediate passing game, it's not there. It's not going to show up anytime soon. That doesn't mean they won't complete a few, but it will never be a strength of that team and that offense. You're going to be a shot play offense that can hopefully lean on the running game at the quarterback position and some really good versatile and dynamic pieces in the tailback room as well. The strength of the team is obvious. Like the strength of that offense is obvious. You just got to play to it. I think Kalen DeBoer is really good at that. I think he was good at that at Washington, at Fresno, at stops before that. And so he's perfectly suited for that. But the one thing I wonder about with them is not offense. I think it's pretty clear who they are. I wonder about their defense. I didn't say worry, but I openly wonder about their defense because there's not been a quarterback that's tested them so far who can expose you with his arm. And down the road, they'll play Carson Beck. They'll play Nico Imaliava. They'll play Garrett Nussmeier. They'll play Brady Cook. They'll play Jackson Arnold. So there are going to be several times down the road where those young corners are going to be put to the test and where that secondary is put to the test. What a godsend Keon Sabb has been for them. And Damani Jackson out of USC. Those are two portal guys that didn't grab big headlines nationally. They did around Alabama. But without them, it's a much different story in that secondary. They got ultra-talented five-star guys. They're just true freshmen. And then you got the transfers in there. But I just want you to file a couple of things away as we get ready for Bama-Georgia week in 2 weeks. 15 of Bama's 22 touchdowns are 20-plus yards, which is wonderful. That means you have explosive play capability. It also means if someone takes it away, your offense is susceptible to grinding to a halt. It's the same thing we were saying about Oregon. It's great when you can score on offensive plays that are 20-plus yards. It's much better if you mix in some really long 8, 12, 13, 14-play drives now and then, because that means you have the ability to sustain offensive rhythm and drives instead of having 3 and out. The offensive plays of 20-plus aren't there. Now what do we do? That's how you get yourself in a bind. File that away. But the good news is they had 3 punts yesterday inside the 20. 53 yards per punt, a long of 64. Dude flipped the field entirely at one point, so that's good. I think Wisconsin kind of needed this because they're not there athletically yet. I told you going into the game, I have no idea what Wisconsin is, offensive identity. Still don't. Quarterback going down probably definitely changes the trajectory of this season. Just a program kind of searching. If you listen to Luke Fickell after the game yesterday, he kind of said, if you had any doubts about what it feels like, this is what it feels like. When someone does that to you and it's that clear and it's at home, that's the reset button. That's like the palate cleanser. Because there's no one saying, well, we could have, well, we should have. Nope. You just got steamrolled. So that's what it looks like. That's what the best or one of the best look like. And we're not close. And so if you ever want to be that, here are the steps that we have to take. Multi-year process.